Hey, 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 what is up? I am just thinking about this right now, but I have not done a live video on my own on Facebook in a really long time. I've done a few videos in my group Life Transformed, and I do a weekly talk show with 3 other co-hosts on Thursdays, but I haven't done a live video in a really long time. And I was sitting there thinking this morning after listening to a really great book called The Greatness Mindset by Lewis Howes, which I recommend to everybody, by the way. Like if you're somebody that's struggling to get over self-sabotage and imposter syndrome and I don't know if I can do it, go check out that book because it'll change the game in how you think. You'll realize that everybody that's achieved a great life, everybody that's achieved greatness have gone through the exact same thoughts that you are going through right now. And it really just kind of normalized the process, right? We all want to be ahead faster than we are. We all want results way faster than we are. And a lot of the time it takes years of dedication to build something of significance, something that's substantial, something that'll create a legacy for your family or something that'll change the game. Often you have to be the one, right? You have to be the one to break generational curses or habits or just how things should be. We're all raised in this certain environment. And we think, okay, this is the way that life should go. But once you realize that you're in charge, once you realize that you get to decide and create your dream life, then everything else shifts, right? And no, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and decisions and effort and intention. But today I want to talk about 5 things that will hold you back from living your dream life. Because right now we're in this really interesting phase in the world where things are not that great, right? People are having a really hard time paying their bills. The cost of living is through the roof. They're worried about war. They're worried about, what's coming next. We just got over a couple years of a pandemic. It has been a really stressful time. And I think that when we look back in 10 years from now, we'll be like, wow, we made it through a very difficult time. It's always hard to see when you're sitting in the middle of it. But I want to bring hope to you today. I want to tell you that you have a choice in how you show up. You have a choice in how you create a life. And with each decision and standard that you set for your life, things will shift and change. And so I want to go over the 5 things that will hold you back from living that dream life that you constantly have in the back of your mind. I wish things were this way. I wish I could do that. I want to do that. One day I will do that. I can tell you that those things will never happen until you take action one step at a time, right? And so it's one of those things that you just have to get started today. And so the first thing that will hold you back is a fear of failure. Okay, we're taught in school things are right, things are wrong, you're good or you're bad, and really those are the wrong lessons. In a success mindset, in somebody that is going to achieve greatness or build a dream life, you have to understand that failure is part of the process, and that when you remove your emotions or your personal judgments on those failures and simply evolve and learn and grow through them, that everything ends up going the way that you want it to. You open new doors. You have a new flow of your life, right? And so this fear of failure, that things aren't going to work out for you, I can tell you there are multiple things that I wish I would have done differently when I started my first business. There are multiple things that I wish I would have done differently when I started my salon or when I left my partnership with my salon and my on-site wedding business, right? There are things that I wish, different conversations I wish I would have had. There are different situations that I probably would have changed or grown from. And now in retrospect, right, I have a different view of those situations. Same thing goes like if you've ever had a breakup or, you and a friend have gone separate ways. It might be really painful at the time and you beat yourself up about it. Like, what could I have done differently? Why did this happen to me? Where did I go wrong? And really a year of perspective on the other side of things will help you understand, number one, that you're going to be okay after any failure that you have, so what? What's next, right? But the other piece of it is that you gain perspective over the time period that it takes to evolve and grow as a human, right? So that fear of failure is something that a lot of people allow to hold them back because they're scared of not doing something right. They're scared that it'll go wrong. There's a million things I wish I would have done differently when we moved to Mexico, a million different things. But now, because I've learned from them, I get to help other people grow through them. I get to help other people not make the same mistakes. It's part of parenting too, right? right? I also understand that my daughter has to make her own mistakes to learn from them. But if I can educate her and have bigger conversations with her, because she understands a heck of a lot more than we give her credit for, right? If we can have bigger conversations and save her from some of the heartache or some of the disappointment, then we're going to do those things and help her evolve in a way that is healthy and supportive. So there's so much that you can learn from failure. And it's not necessarily the thing that should hold you back. It should be the thing that you embrace and allow to propel you forward, okay? The second thing is fear of judgment, right? People don't want to go out and do something different or do something out of the norm because they're scared that people are going to judge them. They're scared that people are going to cast judgment, which they probably are, right? I'm sure that there's been a bunch of judgments placed upon my husband and I for leaving the country and doing something different. I'm sure there's a ton of different judgments from people that, you know, we made different decisions for our best interest, for our family's best interest that we're judged for. In business, there are things that we are judged for. There are things that, you know, you may have a disagreement with a team member. You may have a disagreement with a client, and you're going to get judged for it. But if you know who you are and what your intentions are, they don't matter. And the other thing is, I never take advice from somebody I wouldn't trade places with. I'm very good now at filtering information. So I always ask for feedback, good, bad, ugly, whatever. I want the feedback. So number one, I can analyze. Is this something that I need to learn from? Is this something that I could grow from, even if it's uncomfortable, right? Did it strike a chord with me? Or is this somebody else's stuff? Right? Can we just, send them love, dismiss it, and send it right on back to them? And that's their own life lesson. That's their own growth period that they have to go through. They're just projecting it on you. So a lot of the time, judgment comes from people that are sitting on the sidelines, judging the people that are out there doing the work, right? Brene Brown said it, and Roosevelt said it. Like, if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked, if you're not in the arena with a dirty face and scarred and working your ass off, I have zero time and patience for anybody that is going to judge that are sitting on the sidelines, because they will never experience success and failure like you will. They will never outgrow their group of friends. They'll always stay really, really comfortable, right? And so judgment happens all the time. You just have to learn how to ignore it, and also put yourself in a position where you surround yourself with people. And by the way, I'm going to get into that on number 5, the things that'll hold you back. But number 3, how you feel about yourself. You will never outgrow how you feel about yourself. You'll never out-earn how much you think you can make, right? So what happens up here on a daily basis? Most people spend time perfecting, skill sets and trades and all of these other things. But it's in your mind that allows you to grow. It's the wisdom that you seek. It's the constant growth that you are committed to every single day in learning. And some people, this ties into fear of failure and fear of judgment, because as we learn, we grow, right? I did a video this last week that once you have more information, once you learn something new, it may change your perspective. It may change your opinion, right? As humans, we are not perfect. We learn and we grow all the time. And so those little pieces that are brought to us by different people, by books, by podcasts, by different conversations, those little pieces, if you learn more about something that you have an opinion on, and that opinion changes, that's okay. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to learn. And so if you take on that aspect of your personality and say, how I feel about myself is what is going to create my life out there, then all of a sudden things shift and change, and you're more dedicated to the growth up here than you are to the growth out there. You stop doing things out of spite. And what I mean by that is to prove people wrong, because that is exhausting. To try and do something to prove people wrong is totally exhausting. But when you decide to go after your purpose, when you decide to go after your life of service and how you want to help people grow and how you want to help them change, and that could be simply designing a clothing line that you believe in. That could be a mission-driven clothing line. I think of like Ten Tree. Or like I think of Sarah Blakely, who did Spanx, right? I was listening to this story about a woman who created a product line for rosacea, right? So it could be anything that you decide to make your mark that you feel passionate about. Usually it's a struggle that you've gotten over. So there's a reason that I teach business to people. There's a reason that I teach people how to make more money, is because I didn't believe in the beginning that I could make the kind of money that I make now. I didn't believe that I was made for that I was made for more. But I realized, as one of my mentors says, success is an identity shift. It's an identity shift in that you need to believe that you are successful to create success. You need to understand that you are in control of all of those things. And although you may not feel that way right now, if you are committed to growth and building and pouring into yourself and adjusting course along the way with every failure, with every judgment, and learning and growing, then all of a sudden you start to feel better about yourself. And you looked for past results to build the confidence to have courage to move forward in the future, right? Look at all the things that you've already overcome. How can you help other people overcome those things, right? So we go through this place of imposter syndrome. We go through this place of, I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I have what it takes to build something of significance. But when you replace that with, I will until, right? Seek until you see it. A lot of people say fake it till you make it. I hate that. I don't think you should fake anything. I think you should be motivated enough to build the skills so that you can build what you want. It's all about seeking what you want until you see it, until it's right in front of you, because you create what you have. Whether you realize it or not, the thoughts inside your head, how you feel about yourself, creates the daily life that you have every single day. So that is a huge piece that holds people back. Oh, I could never move to Mexico. Okay, but that's a decision that you've made. You can, you physically can, you financially can, you can do all the things that you want. And that's just a silly example, right? But you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to commit to that dream and then build the confidence through your action and perseverance and grit to be able to have the outcome that you want, right? And that's all inside of you. The fourth thing is you blame situations or circumstances on exterior factors, right? We all have a choice, okay? We have to make time to have complete ownership of our own lives. Where you are right now in life is because of a series of decisions and habits that you have, okay? Whether it's good or bad, good relationship, bad relationship, all of those were decisions, right? Whether you have great relationship with your kids or a not so great relationship with your kids, all decisions and habits. Like I said in the beginning, sometimes you have to break generational curses and habits that have been passed down from, different parents, different grandparents, different great-grandparents. This is just how it was, right? I think of that whole mindset of our parents' generations of like, quit your crying or I'll give you something to cry about, right? That was passed down generationally to people. Some of the stuff that I say to my daughter, I'll catch myself and be like, no, that's actually not the message that I want her to have. I would like to have more support, more love, more encouragement of who you really are, no matter what. I'm not going to try and change that, right? That's that conscious parenting piece. And if you didn't check out my video with Jennifer earlier this week about conscious parenting, you should go back and watch it. If you're a parent, it was really eye-opening because the frustrations that we have as parents are often traumas and triggers from us, not from our children. Right? And so we tend to blame circumstance on the outside, whereas we are in full control of everything that happens in our life, right? If you're not happy with something, change it. If you don't like where you live, move. If you're unhappy in your relationship, get out of it and find somebody that deserves to be with you, right? Those are all changes. How many of you go out there and complain about your friends or complain about your team or complain about people that you have to work with every single day? Well, that's a choice that you make. You don't have to. You can create boundaries and not work with those people, not talk to them, not have them in their life. Sometimes it's family members. Sometimes you need to create boundaries with family members, and not have those people influence your life because it's not a positive influence and it doesn't make you feel good. Your body will tell you what is good for you and what isn't good for you. Your intuition, when you feel like crap and you spend time with people and it doesn't feel good, they're probably not meant to spend a lot of time in your life, right? The other thing that we can look at is finances, right? How many people actually sit down and look at their finances? I know I'm going to lose a lot of viewers right now because nobody likes the word budget. I'm allergic to the word budget. I get it, right? But if we really want financial freedom, if we really want the ability to be able to do and spend however we wish, we have to start getting an education on a money mindset and on how to build wealth, on how to create multiple streams of income, on how to diversify, right? I'm super excited. My husband and I just bought a cash business down here in Mexico. We have multiple streams of income that comes in so that we have diversification. So if one is down, the other is up. If one is up, the other is down. And it all works out in the wash, right? But that's how the wealthy create an income that is passive and will help them grow, because they're not trading dollars for hours, right? They're leveraging the money that they have to either have investments and have passive income, buy businesses with passive income, or they're creating a solution for something in the marketplace that needs to happen right now, right? So we have to start thinking a little bit differently instead of that employee mindset of like, I'm going to work my way to the top, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with that, right? My brother-in-law and his wife are extremely successful and are VPs in their companies, or different companies, right? But they are extremely successful and they've worked their way from the bottom up. That's one way to do it, right? I really appreciate time freedom. I appreciate lifestyle freedom. I appreciate living anywhere in the world. And so I'm going to design my dream life a little bit differently than somebody that's in the corporate world, right? And not to say that there's anything wrong with that. It's just different paths. So what path are you on? What path are you building? I chose one that is purpose driven, one that gets me up in the morning, one that I don't take days off. Like I work on the weekends, not a lot, but like I love what I do. And so people say, how many hours do you work? I can't count the hours that I work because I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly having bigger conversations and asking more important questions to people that I can learn from, because I know that I'm in charge of the success that I create, right? And so we constantly give ourselves excuses. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. My extenuating circumstances are working against me. I don't have enough money. All of these things come into our vocabulary, into our self-sabotaging brain, and stop us from taking action where we can go and solve that problem. We can go learn how to make money. We can go create business. We can go buy businesses. We can go do things that are different to create the life that you want. And you have to take ownership of that, right? Instead of blaming the circumstance that you're in, I don't have any money, I can't pay for anything. I often talk to people they're like, man, I really want to work with you. I really want to be in your program, but I don't have the money to do it, right? Well, I don't have the money a lot of the time to spend tens of thousands of dollars every single year on mentorship, right? Sometimes I put it on credit card because I want to get air miles and I'm like, okay, let's space it out for tax purposes, all that kind of stuff, right? But like, I don't necessarily have 30 grand or 50 grand sitting in the bank that I'm like, here you go, mentorship, right? What I know is the value that I get out of that mentorship, I will pour back into my business. I will get tenfold out of my clients. I will also get tenfold out of the finances that I end up making, right? Often when I hire a mentor like that, I make that money back in 2 to 3 months. No problem, because of the things that I've learned, the things that I've embraced. But you have to put yourself in a position to win. You cannot have excuses right now, because if you have the excuses not to take action, then life is going to happen to you, not for you. So you've got to make that decision that you are in control of your life, that you are the one that creates it, right? Success is an identity process that you have to grow into. And I love that phrase. I love that saying because it reminds me that you have to grow into what you believe you can accomplish. And that happens up here every single day, okay? The fifth thing, this is a big one, okay? Poor choices of influence. How many of us have had conversations with family that says, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, right? They've got all the ideas, but I want you to take a second, and unless they are living a life that you want to live, stop taking advice from them, right? Unless you would trade places with somebody in life, then you don't trade places with them, right? Or you don't take advice from them. So you have to make sure that you are pouring into yourself through your environment, right? You have to surround yourself with people that are constantly pouring belief into you, constantly pouring that identity of success into you, and are saying, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can go for it. Yes, you can build it. All of those things actually matter. They really, truly matter. And if you're constantly in an environment where people are taking you down and giving you different ideas of what you should be doing instead because they're uncomfortable with what you're currently doing, then you don't get to win. That's the bottom line. So having an influential circle sometimes is really difficult, right? Whether it's family or friends or coworkers, we have these people that we're kind of stuck around. And although I limit time and boundaries, I have boundaries with people that I know are not raising my vibration, or not raising my energy level, or not there to support me at my highest level. They're kind of here to bring me back down to where they are. Whenever you have conversations with people always about the past, about people and things that happens in the past, you know that you're living below the level that you should be. Right? Instead of speaking about what you're doing, where you're going next, what happens from here on out, right? And so sometimes you need to pay for proximity. Sometimes you need to clear out the old to bring in the new. Maybe it is going through your entire news field on social media. If you think social media is a negative thing, go through your entire social media and get rid of all the negativity. Right? Just get rid of it. Sometimes we put ourselves in positions to help people because we think we can save them, right? Whether it is a client, whether it is in a relationship, whether it's a friend that's going through a really rough time, you can't help people that don't want to help themselves, right? You can't help people that are constantly blaming other people, right? Or blaming situations for their life. You can't help people that don't want those things. And so you have to gently remove them from your life. There may be conflict. There may be pushback, but who you are influenced by matters every single day. And you have to show up in a way that you put yourself in a position to win. If you're constantly being fed by outer sources that this isn't the right path, this isn't good enough, you're not good enough, your ideas, I don't like what you're doing, why don't you do this instead? How can I help you, right? All these unsolicited advice that you get from usually family and friends, right? You have to, again, quiet the noise, put your blinders on, and put yourself in a position with a bunch of people around you that are constantly pouring belief, constantly pouring success and that success mindset into you, constantly being there for you and helping you work through the challenges, and also people that are willing to tell you the truth. Willing to tell you the truth, even if it's hard. Now, I've been in relationships with people, and not romantic friendships, whatever, client relationships with people that don't actually want the truth. They just want, I don't know what they want. They just want to be reinforced that what they're doing is correct. And one of the most humbling things for me, but also one of the greatest gifts that I have, is that I'm quite coachable. So if somebody came to me and said, hey, Christina, the way that you're showing up online is offensive, or, you could have said this differently, or your post reflected this and maybe you didn't see it, right? Like maybe it was a blind spot to you because of your experience. I would take that information if it was somebody that I admired, somebody that I would trade places with, somebody that has created a success or a leadership track that I admire. I would take that feedback and I would learn and grow from it. Instantly. I would absolutely reevaluate and adjust course, right? But some people take advice like that really personally and they get angry. They get angry, they get triggered, they haven't done the work to have a healed conversation. And I say this all the time. I had a great conversation with a friend yesterday and just said, you cannot have a healed conversation where everybody grows with an unhealed person, with somebody who hasn't done the work that you have to communicate correctly or to overcome their triggers and their trauma. You can't have a conversation with people that are not open to feedback, that are not open to learning and growing with you, right? And so often we have these same conversations over and over and over again. We fight with the same people over and over and over again, instead of realizing that your time is not valued there. It was Jordan Peterson that I learned a big lesson from, and he said, stop helping people that don't listen to your advice, right? People would come to me and ask me for advice, and I would say this, and then they would go do something else, and then they would have an issue with what they did and have a problem and come back to me. And I said, well, you're going to have to solve that on your own because you didn't listen to the advice that you asked for in the first place. So I stopped giving advice to people that were not taking it. I stopped, spending time with people that I couldn't help move forward, that just totally disregarded how to create the goal that they wanted, right? That were just like, I don't know, I don't really feel like it. Or people that didn't want the same thing that I did or want more, right? Like, you can't raise people up if they don't want to do it themselves. And often, and I'll equate it back to a bad boyfriend, right? You get into relationships, and one of the hardest life lessons I ever learned, I got into a relationship with somebody that I wanted to save, right? I thought, well, he would never do all of those things to me because I'm that great. I add so much value to his life. I'm going to save him. I'm going to change him, right? We've all learned that lesson the hard way, right? I think. And so you can't change people. All you can do is partner up with the correct people to be able to move yourself forward. And so those are 5 things that'll hold you back from living your dream life. And I want to tell you that I asked a couple of days ago in my free Facebook group, Life Transformed. If you're not part of it, get in there. I do a lot of podcasting in there, and you get to hear it before everybody else. But I do a lot of different business training and whatnot in there. And I asked the other day, if you were given $5,000, it was dropped into your bank account, what would you spend it on? And there were an array of answers, but almost all of them, like I would say 90% of them were, I would pay off debt. I would pay off debt. And now I understand what's going on in the economy right now. I understand what's going on with inflation and interest rates and the cost of living, right? I would pay off debt. We've worked really hard in our life to not have any debt, right? To be debt free, so that is your freedom, actually, is being debt free, unless you're using debt as a business move, unless you're using it in real estate to leverage and all that kind of stuff, right? That's a different story. But we've worked really hard to be debt free, and we've made decisions to help us become debt free. And so when I see all of these comments that are, I pay off debt with $5,000, and then 10% of people are like, I would invest it. I would invest it. I would have passive income. I would buy a business. Those 10% of people understand what it takes to build wealth, right? And so I realized I'm not doing my due diligence in helping people overcome the problem they're facing today, which is being in mass amounts of debt. So there's 2 ways that you can do that. Number 1, and by the way, if you haven't read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, I highly recommend it. And it will be something that I talk a little bit more about in my free workshop next week, starting October 23rd, called Life on Your Terms. If you haven't registered for that, I'll drop it in the comments after this video. But I wanted to share with you that there are 2 ways to get yourself out of debt. Number 1, spend less, right? Reevaluate your finances. This is not a fun part of life, but if you really, truly want a different result in your life, you have to do something different. You can't just like blindfold yourself and hope it changes, right? So you have to go through all your finances. Where are you bleeding money? What apps are you spending money on that you're not using, right? What are the things right now that you could do to cut back to at least have an extra $100 or $200 a month that you could start saving, right? Paying off high interest loans. A lot of the time, credit cards, right? Instead of line of credit, you pay off your credit card. How can you get ahead? So that's one thing, is you cut back your costs and you pay off your high interest, and then you start to pay off the rest of your debt. The second side of it is you increase your income. Right? You have to learn, nothing's going to change. If you make an hourly wage, you trade dollars for hours, and your house bills are more than what you make, there's an issue here. You have to change what you're doing. Nothing is going to change if you don't change, right? So you've got to take full ownership, responsibility of where you're at right now, and you've got to be able to find a plan that'll work for you. Maybe that's bringing in a side business. Maybe people say a side hustle, although I know what it takes to build a successful side hustle. It's a lot more work than people think. But if it's something that you love and you enjoy, then it's not hard work, right? It's something that you can just incorporate into your life. And so I think that having that space and that time to grow a business on top of what you're currently doing, or something that complements what you're already doing, right? Maybe it's even bringing in another stream of revenue, right? Like I've helped salon owners bring in an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month simply by changing a conversation, shifting their conversation, right? Same thing goes with personal trainers and chiropractors and people that are already kind of running a business. Well, why couldn't you just infuse more cash into that business to create another stream of income and just be smarter about how you're working, as opposed to harder and taking more clients and spending more hours working, right? So So you have to be able to lower that debt to get out and then increase how much you make. Maybe that's building something with a partner, right? Like I am a huge believer. I pour a lot of time and energy into my marriage. Not to say that it's perfect, but it's something that we both really value, and it's something that we work together on so that we're a team through and through. And you might be trying to take this on all on your own. You might be trying, maybe you're the sole provider of your family and you're like, I need to work more, I need to make more money. It's about having an honest conversation about where you want to go and who you want to become and the life that you want to live, and then coming up with a plan to create that, right? Because again, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. You have to be able to do something different to get what you want, right? And so the 5 things are fear of failure, fear of judgment. How you feel about yourself matters, because you'll never outgrow how you feel about yourself, and you'll never out-earn how you feel about yourself. When you blame your situation on extenuating circumstances instead of taking ownership and creating a new plan, right? When you blame it on the economy, when you blame it on, the life that you've had or things that have happened to you in the past, those things will hold you back from creating your dream life right now. And then the 5th thing is poor choice of influence. You're not listening to the right people. You're not surrounding yourself with the right people. And you have to make a conscious choice to create boundaries that are with the people that are going to hold you back. So I hope that that's really helpful to you today. If this is helpful and you know somebody that needs to hear it, make sure that you tag them in the comments. If you have not registered for my free workshop next week that is going to talk about how to live life on your own terms, how to come up with a plan. I have a really great segment, 3 steps to your next 100K business. We talk a lot about money mindset and how to get your finances in order and how to take action today to get the result that you want. If you haven't registered for that, make sure that you do, because I want to make sure that I can help as many of you who understand what I'm saying right now. I want to help as many of you as I can move forward in life in a direction that you're really excited about. Instead of being depressed about what's going on over here and like paying attention to all the distraction that's happening, let's put our blinders on and focus forward and start taking action towards the life we actually want to create. The one that we're meant to be in, the one that is purpose driven, the one that has lifelong value, the one that creates a beautiful path for your kids with you as a role model. Let's show them what's possible, right? So I'm going to drop that link in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening today, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.